Right, welcome back. So in our last lesson, we talked about finding an unknown hypotenuse. I almost said hypothesis. Hypotenuse. In this lesson, we're going to talk about finding unknown leg lengths. So finding one of the other missing sides. And example 1, what is the length of the unknown leg? So again, I like to start from the right triangle and draw an arrow, and across from our right angle is our C value, our hypotenuse. And then in the math community, we just tend to always call that missing side length B, but you could say that you're finding A. Either way works. So we're going to still plug into A squared plus B squared equals C squared. It's just now we're going to be solving for B. So I have that A is 12. B I don't know, so we're going to leave it as B squared equals 13 squared. And then from here, I'm going to do 12 squared, which is 144, plus B squared equals 13 squared, which is 169. Now to get B by itself, I've got to start solving the equation, right? So to get B by itself, I need to remove the 144 from the left side to the right side. And in order to do that, I'm going to do the opposite. This is a positive 144, so I'm going to subtract 144. And so then when we end up with B squared equals 169 minus 144, which is 25. And because we're looking for the side length, that means I want B, not B squared. And so in order to undo the square, we're going to take the square root. And so then we get B equals, and the square root of 25 is 5. And again, it's only going to be positive answers because a negative side length won't make sense. And so that's what we're doing. We're solving for, and like I said, I just tend to always call our missing leg length B. So I'm solving for the same variable every time. All right, so example 2, I just got B stuck on my brain. We're still working with A squared plus B squared equals C squared. Here we have decimals. That doesn't change anything. Just make sure that you keep your decimal in the calculator. This is going to be my C, 17.5. Because it's across from the right angle, that's how I know that it's my C value. Because remember, on your test, they're all going to be mixed up. So it's not like you're going to have all your finding for C and then all your finding for B. You're going to have to know, when am I finding for the hypotenuse and when am I finding for a leg. So we're going to call it 10.5a. So we have 10.5 squared plus b squared equals 17.5 squared. And so I'm going to do 10.5 squared in the calculator, and I get 110.25 plus b squared equals, and then 17.5 squared in the calculator is 306.25. And again, we're going to have to solve. And in order to solve, I've got to move this up 110.25 to the other side. So I'm going to subtract it from both sides, because what I do to one side, I have to do equally to the other. Just those basics of solving equations. And so now I have b squared equals 196. And then I'm going to take the square root, because I want just b, not b squared. And the square root of 196 is 14. So we went from having decimals to not having a decimal. And so our answer is the whole number 14. Again, we're squaring. In this case, we're subtracting instead of adding. And then our last step is always to take that square root. So now we're going to get into some word problems. The length of the diagonal of a television screen is 42 inches. The length of the bottom of the screen is 36 inches. To the nearest tenth, what is the height of the television screen? So this is what we're looking for, this side over here. We don't know that one. We're going to call that our B. Across from my right angle is my C. And then my other side is going to be my A. So when we plug into A squared plus b squared equals c squared. Then we're going to have 36 squared plus b squared equals 42 squared. So 36 squared, type it into the calculator. 36 times 36, or 36 squared, and you're going to get 1,296 plus b squared equals 42 squared. Into the calculator, we will get 1764. So 1,764. And then again, we're solving, so we're going to subtract the 1,296 from both sides. We're left with b squared equals, and then 1,764 minus 1,296. Typing that into the calculator, we end up with 468. And then we're going to take the square root because I want just b, not b squared. And what I do to one side, I have to do the other side. So then b will equal, and then 468, the square root of 468. It's telling us to round to the 10th. And so I end up with 21.6 inches. And that's the height of the TV. And if you didn't know, your TV screens are not measured by the length or the height, but when it tells you like a 50-inch or a 60-inch TV, that is the diagonal of the TV, which is why you can have the same diagonals for your TVs, but some could be short and taller than others, and some are long and then like a shorter height. So, but that's how you can get your different rectangle sizes that have the same inch, like 50-inch or 60-inch, whatever it may be. All right, last one for this video. Example 4. So again, we're with pyramids. The entrance to the Louvre Museum in Paris, which is a wonderful museum if you're ever in that area, is a square pyramid to the nearest tenth. What is the height of the pyramid? So what we are looking for is for this height when we drop down that length. And we talked before, oops, I didn't draw that straight at all. We talked about before how that would drop to the center of our triangle, of our pyramid. And so this small length here is going to be half of the 35.4. So we're going to take 35.4 and divide by 2, and that gives us 17.7. That's going to be our A, because here's my right angle, and this 27.9 is my C. So A squared plus B squared equals C squared. And I just want you to remember, take the side length of the square base, divide into, that's what gives you your A side for your triangle. So that's where we got the 17.7, was by dividing the 35.4 by 2. I'm putting it there also just in case you forgot. All right, and then 27.9 is our C. So we have A or 17.7 squared plus B squared equals 27.9 squared. I'm going to type those into the calculator. I get 313.29 plus B squared equals 778.41. We're going to subtract our 313.29 from both sides. And remember, you don't want to round until the end. B squared equals 778.41 minus 313. I forgot to put minus there, 0.29 is 465.12. Now that's B squared, and we want just B. So we're going to take the square root. And so then B will equal 21.6. So it was really close to our last one. If this is hard to see the triangle, what we were doing is if we were to draw, and sometimes this helps, draw your own right triangle and relabel that we're looking for the height. So this is our unknown, and that this was our 17.7 because that's half of 35.4, and then our C was 27.9. So sometimes making a 2D version of our 3D triangle, sometimes that's easier, or of our triangle within that 3D shape makes it easier to see. So, all right, until next time, 8th graders. Peace.